What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin' Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's talk some baseball. Orioles beat the Reds 10-3. Orioles are playing some great baseball. Jordan Westburg made his MLB debut for the Orioles, one of their top prospects, and another prospect for the Orioles that's come up and made a difference. A couple between this year and last year. The last two seeds, you've got the Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson hasn't been quite the impact that we thought he would this year. I think he was pretty good down the stretch last year for the Orioles, but Adley Rutschman's been fantastic. Now you call Jordan Westbrook. He worked a walk in his first career bat. You saw all of his friends behind the home plate. I got really excited. That was cool to see. But in a bit of a rainy game, Orioles pick up the win 10-3. They are rolling, have an incredible year. Brewers beat the Mets 2-1. Mets are now 8 games below 500. More on them in a little bit. Very shortly, actually, Braves beat the Twins 4-1. 10 strikeouts from Spencer Strider. Tigers beat the Texas Rangers 7-2. You have the Angels over the White Sox 2-1. And then the Mariners over the Nationals 8-4. As for the standings, the American League East Rays remain the best team in baseball, 54-27, but Orioles right on their tail. 47-29, they are 4.5 games out of first, playing really well. Yankees 43-35, hanging in there. They've had a rough month or so. They're really struggling to score runs. Don't have Aaron Judge right now. Giancarlo Stanton is struggling. Anthony Rizzo is struggling. Josh Donaldson's been non-existent. DJ LeMahieu has not been very good this year. Have injuries. I mean, they've had a bunch of injuries in their bullpen, but they, I believe, lead the league in bullpen ERA. I think part of that is getting Tommy Kahnle back in. They got him back at the very beginning of June. He hasn't given up a run yet, and he's been active for almost a month. And the rotation's holding it together. A couple of guys out. Rodon's been out all year. Montas been out all year. Montas might be out for the year. Rodon should be coming back very soon. Severino was out for a while. We didn't see him till towards the end of May. He's been up and down so far. Cortez is out right now. Outside of Garrett Cole, Clark Schmidt's been pitching better. He's been pitching well lately after a tough start. So that, Domingo Román was overall had an okay year. He's struggling. But the bullpen has actually been really strong despite the injury. The rotation's been kind of shaky. Cortez, who hasn't even pitched really when he was healthy. And the lineup without Judge has struggled. They're hanging in there. 8 games below 500 in the best division in baseball. 9.5 games out of first, but are in third place. I believe are in playoff position. But Toronto at 43-36, a half game behind the Yankees. They're in fourth. And the Red Sox, 40-39, game over 500, are actually in last place in that division. That's a stacked division. You go from that to the American League Central, which is not stacked. Twins at 40-40 are in first place. At 500 are in first place. Put that in perspective. The Boston Red Sox, who were only 1 game over 500, they're in last place in the American League East. If they were in the American League Central, they would be in first place. That's crazy. Guardians are 37-44 games under 500. Only game they've had a first though. Guardians, they've had a really good bullpen, but their rotations had some injuries. Tristan McKenzie, who had a breakout year last year, only made 2 starts this year. He was out for a while. He got hurt in spring training, came back a start or two later. Got hurt again. Shane Bieber has been good, but not as dominant as he's been the last couple of years. And they have really struggled when it comes to their lineup, and they have not produced a lot of runs. Outside of Jose Ramirez, he's typical All-Star self. Justin Nemers had a good year. Justin Nemers and Almer Azar, but 2 guys they got from the Mets and the Francisco Lindor trade a couple of years ago. Both had great years last year. Have struggled this year. They brought in Josh Bell for agency to boost their lineup, give him some power. He has not had the impact that he had last year. Stephen Kwan's a guy who produces a rookie. He's taken a step back, and overall the lineup has just struggled. Tigers 34-43 have had a rough year, but they're only 4.5 games out of first place, and they're 9 games under 500. That's how bad that division is. White Sox 34-45 are in fourth place. Still 5.5 games out of first isn't even that bad. They've been really bad. Their pitching's been bad all year. I think they have the second worst batting average in the league besides the Yankees in June. As of, I think a few days ago, I think as of Friday, They were hitting like 210 in the month of June. And the Royals, 22-56, have been absolutely awful. American League West, Texas Rangers, 47-31, still in first place. Just lost a series to the Yankees, but still in first place. Overall, have had a great year. Astros, 42-36. 5 games out there in second place. Are dealing with some injuries. Also, don't have your big bat, Jordan Alvarez, which hurt them. Their offense hasn't quite been the same. They've been dealing with injuries in the rotation all year. But they're hanging in there. Angels have been playing well. 42-37 this year. 5.5 games out of first place and third place in the American League West. They've been playing well. Finally, Angels might have a shot at making the playoffs with Trout and Ohtani. If you ask me, if they'll make the playoffs, Ohtani's going to leave. Like, definitely. Whether he goes to the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, I don't know. If they make the playoffs, he might stay, but if he leaves, I can't see him even considering going back. Seattle, 37-39. They're 2 games under 500 or 9 games out of first. Team that broke their 21-year playoff drought last year. Made the playoffs. They end up taking 2. They win 2-0 in the first round against Toronto. And this year have taken a step back. Team that's really struggled offensively, like really bad. Their pitching has actually been very good, especially their rotation. But offensively, they have really struggled. And then you have the Oakland Athletics at 20-60, 4 games below 500. Have been absolutely pathetic. Please get them out of Oakland. Look, going to the National League East, Braves 51-27, best record in the National League and the second best in baseball. They are red hot. They've won 9 of the last 10 games. They are a great team. They're rolling right now. That team's really well built. They got a great lineup. Got very good starting pitching. Got a deep bullpen. Brian Snecker's done a great job there. There's a reason he's got a World Series championship there. For the Marlins in second place, 45-34. They're playing great. Second half games out of first. They're a playoff team right now. It's weird. They're 11 games over 500. Their run differential was -15. They've gotten great pitching. Overall, their offense hasn't been fantastic, but it helps that Luis Arias is hitting 400. Phillies, 40-37. Just took 2 out of 3 from the Mets. They're a tough shot. They played much better. They're hanging around. Mets, 35-43, have been really struggling. They've lost 16 of their last 21. That's 5 wins, 16 losses in your last 21 games. They're really struggling, especially from a pitching standpoint. They got the Nationals at 30-47 in last place. National League Central. Brewers and Reds are now tied. So the Reds, who had won 12 in a row, now lose 2 in a row. Brewers playing well. They beat the Mets last night 2-1. So the tie for first place between those 2 teams. Got the Cubs, who were playing a lot better lately, are hot right now. 37-39. 2 games under 500, but playing a lot better. Only 3 games out of first. Pirates, who have been struggling, 35-42, 5.5 games out of first. And then got the Cardinals in last place, 32-45. I mean, to be 13 games under 500 and be 8.5 games out of first place, you would think they would be a lot further out, but the division's so bad. And Brewers and Reds are tied to first. They're only 4 games over 500. National League West, Arizona Diamondbacks, 47-32 are in first. San Francisco Giants have been red hot. Got to a tough start this year, but I think might have the best record since like May or something like that. They're 10 games over 500, only 2.5 games out. Dodgers hanging in there, 43-34. They're 3 games out of first. San Diego Padres have been a major disappointment. Came in with a stacked team, spent all that money, and they are 37-41. 4 games under 500, 9.5 games out of first. And you got the Colorado Rockies buried in last place at 31-49. They have the second worst record in the National League. It's weird. The top 3 payers, I believe, are the Mets, who are at $344 million, and the Padres and the Yankees. Mets are 8 games below 500, or are like 9 games out of a wild card spot. San Diego is 4 games under 500. They got to be probably 4 or 5 games out of a playoff spot. And then the Yankees are 8 games over. Probably should be a little better. They're clinging to a wild card spot right now, but definitely should be a little better than that. But yeah, Steve Cohen is the Mets owner, is holding a press conference on Wednesday. Says you're going to get straight from me. Very interesting what he has to say. The Mets have been absolutely horrible. Their pitching has not been good. Max Scherzer has overall been mediocre. Justin Verlander's been very mediocre this year. Last night, he goes 5 scoreless innings. He's up 5 hits. Look, he was, in 5 innings, he gave up 5 hits, and he had 2 or 3 walks. He had a lot of long counts. He's not the guy that the Mets thought they were getting when they gave him $43 million. And their bullpen's just been terrible. They have like 5 minor league guys in there right now. You have David Robinson, okay. Adam Levine, okay. Brooks Raley, okay. I guess now you get Drew Smith back, but he's not that good anyway. And the other guy is TJ McFarland, they just called up. He's a deaf piece. You have Vinny Natoli, who's a minor leaguer. They have Jeff Brigham, who's basically a deaf guy, and then there's one other, Grant Hartwig, who's a deaf guy. So their bullpen is not good. Most of the guys there, half the bullpen is made up of minor leaguers. And even the lineup is good, but it's not great. I mean, McNeil has not been good this year. Lindor's been inconsistent. Got to a great start, then he was struggling for Ralph, to a really deep slump. Lately, he's been pretty good, so he's been inconsistent. Marte's has been better after a tough start, but overall hasn't been great. Marcana, little better after a really tough start, but overall he hasn't been great. The only guys who have been consistently good this year have been Alonso, who hasn't looked fantastic since coming off the IL. May have rushed back. We expect to miss 3 to 4 weeks. Came back in only 11 days. But overall, he's been fantastic. And really, Nimmo. Nimmo's been solid this year. Brandon Nimmo, the center fielder. Brett Beatty's been okay since coming up. Overall, pretty good for a rookie. Alvarez, who was on fire, he's cooled off the last week or two. Vogelbach's been up and down. Got off to a pretty good start. Then for a while was terrible. Since they basically took a mental break for a week, had work on some stuff in the batting cage with some of the assistant coaches, and he's been better since coming back. But and Tony Pham's the guy got to a really tough start, has caught fire. But right now, the only guys really hitting right now is Alonso. Consistently, it's pretty much Alonso, Nimmo, and Pham, to be honest. And also, I think Buck Short has got to go. He has mismanaged Brooklyn so poorly on Sunday. So, a big game against the Phillies. You got his team has been losing series after series after series. You haven't won a series all month. You're playing horrible. You're falling to 6 games under 500. You're falling 7 or 8 games out of the wild card. You got to take a series from a division rival. Yes, the Phillies are a team that's been, we thought could be really good this year. They were in the World Series last year, had a great run. They had some pieces in the offseason. We thought, okay, there's a team that could definitely win 90 games and be a playoff team and possibly have another nice playoff run. So she wants to get Bryce Harper back, and they got Harper back a lot earlier than expected, and then, but haven't. But as well as we thought, they're running out sitting at only 3 games over 500. Had some injuries. But whenever you win, beating anybody, you win a pretty big series over a division rival. That can get your confidence back. And, not going to his big relief. Adam Levine, his top setup man, or his closer, David Robertson. In the 8th, he went to, a minor league reliever, basically, and Josh Walker. Didn't retire batter. Then went to Jeff Brigham, who's a deaf reliever. And just a bunch of walks, a couple hit batsmen, and a bad error by Brett Beatty in the field. And he's saying, oh, yeah, I wanted to say Robinson from the 9th, and I didn't want to use Olavino. Apparently, he was unavailable. Olavino said, I was available, so I don't know why he just didn't go to him in the first place. David Robinson had only, yes, he had pitched to 5 errors the day before, but he only threw 13 pitches. He hadn't pitched a lot in the last week. No reason why I shouldn't have used those 2 guys. Absolutely terrible. That's the kind of game that gets a manager fired. And I understand, of course, Drew Smith, in his first game back, comes in the 6th inning and mixed 1-0 and gives up a home run. The Mets bats just completely fell asleep last night. Colin Rea, who I forgot was in the league, hasn't got above 6 innings all years. Got a 4.8 ERA, cruises through 6 1/3, give just 3 hits, not even 90 pitches. Unacceptable. After the game, every player is just like, I don't know what's going on. We're gonna turn around. We're a good team. We'll get hot. Well, when? It's almost July. You're 8 games under 500. You're 16 games out of first place. This is the first they've been out of first place since 2003. The Mets had some bad teams from basically 2009 to 2014. They were basically in a rebuild, and those teams were really bad. They were in 2017. They had, I think, 92 losses. They were not very good in 2018. In 2019, the team that after the All-Star break, had a big turnaround, came up a little short, but the first half of the season was abysmal. And they were never this far out of first place. And also, those teams' payrolls were never, I'm not even sure they're over $100 million. The Mets payroll now is $344 million. The most in baseball and one of the largest ever. I'm not even sure if the Steinbrenner's Yankees got that high. Showalter did a great job last year. His manager of the year for the reason, took a Mets team that was floundering for years. They won 100 games. They made the playoffs. A terrible ending, getting swept by the Braves in the end of the season to lose the division and losing in the first round to San Diego in your own ballpark. Overall, still step in the right direction. This year, he has not. He's done things completely different. I don't know what's going on. I think it's time for a change. I compare it to the Philadelphia Phillies, who last year came in with a solid squad, look like a team that good chance should be in the playoffs, and just the bullpen was blowing game after game. The rotation wasn't holding up. They were making errors every game. They were 7 more games under 500, or not quite this late, but late May, early June probably. And they fired a World Series winning manager in Joe Girardi, who's very respected around the league. People were shocked. Promoted the bench coach, Rob Thompson, interim manager, and they completely turned it around, get into the playoffs, and ended up going to the World Series. Maybe it happens to the Mets. Maybe the Mets are a team that's, they spend all this money, have the highest payroll in baseball, expected to be, definitely be a playoff team, and just, had some injuries, obviously. Verlander showed up some stuff in the beginning of the year, had some injuries in the rotation in the beginning of the year. Obviously, your closer, Diaz, the best reliever in baseball. We probably won't see him all year. He gets hurt right before the World Baseball Classic. And then just a bunch of other things happen, just overall underperformance. And maybe you fire Buck Showalter, got the reigning manager of the year, and promote your bench coach, Eric Chavez, or someone like that. And maybe it sparks them, because the Mets here need. There's no urgency to this team, and Buck's the worst of it. He always like, I leave that to you guys to answer, or I'm proud of the way we stuck together. Like, dude, this is the freaking Little League, all right? This is the major leagues. Come on. Just, he's the worst of it. This team needs someone to scream, to tell them, you guys are a terrible baseball team. I don't care what your baseball card says. I don't care what you've done in your career. I don't care what overall you are on MLB The Show. I don't care how good you are, where you are in your career, how much you're making. You guys have been absolutely horrible this year. You guys are an embarrassment. $344 million, 8 games under 500 at the end of June. That's pathetic. Get your heads out of your backsides and turn the ship around, or there's going to be major changes. I need someone to say that. And however they do that, whether it's the reigning manager of your Buck Showalter, a very well-respected manager, getting fired, and promoting your bench coach, Eric Chavez, who's only been an assistant coach at MLB for a couple of years, never been a manager. If that's firing one of your assistant coaches, or it's hitting coach Jeremy Barnes or pitching coach Jeremy Hefner. But two guys they like, Hefner's overall done a good job with the Mets. He's not becoming assistant, as is Jeremy Barnes. And they promoted him to hitting coach after they promoted Chavez from hitting coach to bench coach in the offseason. If it's father GM Bill Yepler, who I do believe deserves a lot of blame, he has not built this team well at all. Or, maybe Steve Cohen tomorrow goes out and just has a 5-year rant, and the entire team, the players, the coaches, was, damn, whoa, hold on a minute. We gotta get this thing together. We gotta turn this around now, or within a month, a lot of us are going to be traded to different teams, and we're going to be out of the race. But something's got to give there. They already traded Andrew Westbrook to the Angels. They get Coleman Crow and Landon Marcel. They get 2 decent prospects from the Angels, like 2 top 20s guys in their system. Escobar wasn't having a great year. He was better off the bench. And they're a tough star as a star. Once they called up Brett Beatty, but they traded basically a bench player for two pitching prospects. The Mets have no pitching depth really. Not a lot of high quality pitching prospects. I didn't mind the trade at all. I always like Escobar, really classy guy. He was hitting 240 this year all at the bench. Is what it is. Going away from the Mets, Aaron Judge has a torn ligament in his toe. No timetable for his return. He made that great running catch at Dodger Stadium a few weeks back, but he hurt his toe. He has, it appears to be taking a long time to heal. So he still has pain even when he walks. And originally they said it was just a sprain, but now he has a torn ligament. So manager Aaron Boone, they gave a very weird response, basically saying he'll be back this year. I don't know when, and it said something else weird. Aaron Judge said does not know when, but he says he'll be back at some point this season, but doesn't know when. So he could be back in a couple of weeks. Maybe something develops. He could be back in a month. He could be back maybe the very end of the season. So we'll see what happens. Jazz Chisholm, the Marlins shortstop, is activated off the IL now the last 6 weeks. Marlins playing really well. Get a really electrifying bat back in their lineup. Jazz Chisholm's a really good young player, but had trouble staying healthy. And the last thing I'll say about when it comes to baseball is congratulations to the LSU Tigers. They won the College World Series last night. 18-4 did they win in Game 3. Running against Jack Cagliano, supposed to be like this Ohtani kind of guy in Florida. The projected number 1 overall pick next year. He hit 33 home runs this year, and he started last night. He gave up 6 runs last night. Helped that LSU had the best pitcher in college baseball, Paul Skeens, last night, who either him or his teammate out there, Dylan Cruz, those 2 guys are going to be the top 2 picks in the draft this year. The College World Series was really exciting. It was a lot of close games. Then Game 2, Florida won 24-4. And Game 3, LSU won 18-4. So the College World Series was very competitive, but the actual championship series was not. On to hockey, a bunch of trades have happened with free agency around the corner. The Predators acquire Alex Galchenyuk from, I think it was Colorado, maybe, and they send Ryan Johansson the other way. They're still going to pay half his salary. Sean Durzi gets traded from the Kings to the Coyotes for a second-round pick in 2024. Durzi's a solid defenseman. The Hurricanes extend Jordan Staal, 4-year extension worth $11.6 million. The Golden Knights are finalizing a 2-year extension worth $9.8 million with goalie Aiden Hill, who's their backup but stepped up as their starter in the playoffs when they had some injuries and played really, really well. This just happened recently. The Blues trade for Kevin Hayes, Philadelphia Flyers center. They give up a 2024 6th-round pick. Flyers still paying half his salary. Now, he had a tough year in Philly. Head coach Sean Thoreau clashed with him. He got moved to the wing. He started the year on the top line. By the end of the year, he was going back and forth from the 3rd and the 4th lines. But definitely was not fitting well there. But he goes to the Blues. Alex Newhook, Colorado traded to Montreal. The rights to him, he's a restricted free agent. Going the other way to Colorado is the 31st and 37th pick. So it was Gianni Fairbrother, I've never heard of. Probably some prospect. Those are some moves that were made. The NHL awards were announced last night. Conor Gable won the Hart Trophy. Had over 60 goals, over 120 points. Incredible year. His 3rd career MVP. Elias Olmark won the Vezina. And also, I know some people said the Islanders goalie Sorokin should have made it. I can admit as a Rangers fan, Sorokin's an incredible goalie. I think Igor Shesterkin is better than him. I think it's pretty clear. But last year, Sorokin was fantastic. I do think Olmark was deserve the award. At the end of the day, it is a regular season award. It doesn't make sense. The old sports should not do that. I don't know why they do. But he had a 938 save percentage, which is absolutely insane. He had 40 wins for goalies, an incredible number. He definitely deserved the Vezina Trophy despite him struggling in the playoffs. Jim Montgomery won Coach Shield, led the Bruins to the greatest regular season ever. Of course, they collapsed in the first round of the playoffs. Extremely embarrassing, but he did a great job. He wins Coach of the Year. Matty Byers won the Calder Trophy for the Rookie of the Year in the NHL. He had 24 goals last year for Seattle. For reason why Seattle. Your second year's team beat, got over the hump a little bit. Had a shocking first round upset of the defending champs Colorado Avalanche in the first round for losing in the second round. And Erik Karlsson won the Norris Trophy. He had an incredible year, 25 goals and 101 points from a defenseman. He's the first defenseman to have 100 points a season since Brian Leetch with the Rangers back in 1992 for 30 years ago. Incredible year. His third Norris Trophy of his career. And only the 8th defenseman ever with 3 Norris Trophy or 7 roll in the Hall of Fame. So Karlsson has basically cemented his case as a future Hall of Famer, if you ask me. And Chris Letang wins the Masterson Trophy for that's a sportsmanship award. And then Patrice Bergeron wins the Selke Trophy for the best defensive forward in hockey for the 6th time in his career. And that may be how he goes out because he is possibly retiring. The last bit of hockey news: the Predators hired former legendary goalie for the Predators, Pekka Rinne, who was a great goalie in his day. He recently retired a couple of years ago. They hired him as a European development coach and scout. So he will be joining the Predators organization. As for NBA, I covered a lot of NBA stuff with Ashton yesterday, but the Atlanta Hawks have expressed interest in Pascal Siakam. They've been trying to get him. Toronto doesn't want to give him up, but we'll see where that goes. Knicks declined the option on Derrick Rose for $50.6 million. It said they wouldn't mind bringing him back on a cheaper salary. Be kind of like the veteran leader in the locker room. But I'm hearing that's not expected to happen. He'll probably play somewhere else next year. Obviously he's not the guy he was in his prime. Obviously, he's had so many injuries. I don't really think he's got anything left to be honest. It's very sad, but I think it is true. I do think he can offer something as like a depth option, maybe. Just that veteran leadership. But if I'm him, I'd go somewhere like Denver or Boston or Milwaukee and try to get yourself a championship before you retire. And he's the guy I think I could see him getting into coaching. He's a really smart. I think he's a very good. He's got a lot of basketball knowledge. I can see him getting into coaching. New York Knicks, they also pushed and Josh Hart pushed their deadline to opt out of his deal to Thursday. Now, his player option is $12.9 million. You would think he would decline that. He's definitely, to me, I don't see him leaving. I hope the Knicks resign him. He was so important, such an important trade deadline pickup. Fits them perfectly. I really just think they're trying to work out an extension, so he's either gonna opposed to him just opting out. Now he's on the market. Now he's gonna move our team, or him hard opting in. Now he's playing for pride below his market value. They're trying to figure out an extension. So he'll probably opt out and then right away resign or opt in with the extension. So we'll see what happens. I assume that's what that's about. The Minnesota Timberwolves re-signed big man Naz Reid for his $42 million. They're now paying their 3 centers, Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Naz Reid, a combined $443 million. Wow. I think a little bit of an overpay. I like Naz Reid as a solid rim protector, solid inside scorer. He had a pretty good year this year. But $14 million a year for a backup center is a little much for me. So Portland GM met with Damian Lillard to talk about his future there, and apparently, Portland wants to build a contender around Dame. I'm getting a little tired of Dame, honestly. I mean, in the past I've said I want him on the Knicks. Now I don't even know if I do. I don't know if it's a good fit. You have 2 scoring point guards with him and Brunson. I don't know if that would fit anyway. We grew up so much. Every offseason he says, "Oh, I want to rebuild. I want to rebuild over a draft. I want us to rebuild through a draft." He's has all these posts all these cryptic messages on social media. He does all these stupid Instagram lives. And then he says, "Oh, I'm staying low to Portland. I want to stay." Then Portland decides to draft. Then Portland drafts somebody, and then says, "Oh, I wish they had traded the pick." And now there's rumors he wants out. Then 10 minutes later, he says, "I want to stay." And then the season starts, and he gets hurt by the All-Star break. They shut him and Joseph Nurkic, by middle of the season. They win 35 games and finish 12th in the West. It's annoying also. I love how Dame says, "Oh, I want more pieces," but he makes $60 million a year. He signed the extension worth $60 million a year a couple of years ago. You can't have it both ways, dude. Come on. I'm tired of this whole thing with Dame. Everything complained about Bradley Beal. We takes up too much money. You can't expect Wizards to pull a team around when he signed a $250 million extension. He's overrated. Dame's doing the same thing. He's never been to the final. I think he's been to the conference final once or twice. Not far from all on him, but come on. I'm getting a little tired of it. They said Victor Wembanyama will not participate in the FIBA NBA World Cup. For France is a necessary sacrifice he has to make to prepare for his rookie year. They say he's still filing up their roster. Maybe done or almost done. I'll update you guys on that tomorrow. But West Virginia has promoted their assistant coach, Josh Eilert, the head coach. Of course, long to make up Huggins stepped down after he had a DUI for the second time in his career. Last one was back in 2004 when he was in Cincinnati. He had the incident where he went on a podcast and he used an anti-gay slur. And they said he resigned. I heard everything West Virginia said, "Look, we can't keep you employed. You're doing all this stupid stuff." But because he's been there since 2007, I have respect for him. They let him resign. That's where I think happened. But Josh Allen will now be coaching West Virginia. I heard a couple of players are transferring out of West Virginia, so their team out doesn't look great right now. Keegan Bradley wins the Traverse Championship, 23 under par. He is the winner. The next PGA event will be the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Starts this Thursday. That will be in Detroit, Michigan, at the Detroit Golf Club. And last thing I'll say, Friday Night SmackDown from this past Friday. So the Usos, started out. They came out and they said why they betrayed Roman Reigns. So he was being disrespectful. Roman Reigns did not show up. Sol Sikoa fought Sheamus. Backstage, Sikoa was walking, and Rich Holland, who was on his phone, bumped into him. They kind of had a little stare down, and then Rich Holland kept walking, and Sikoa hit him with the thumb to the neck and said, "Not in the mood." Sheamus, found him laying on the ground. He told Adam Pearce, "I want Sikoa," and Pearce was like, "I don't know." But Adam Pearce is actually pretty funny. That poor guy gets abused on every Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. So that's pretty funny. Sheamus went out there. Sheamus went out towards the ring. He challenged Sol Sikoa. They had a match, but it ended in a no contest. Sikoa barreled Sheamus through the barricade, basically almost knocked him unconscious, rather than a no contest. And then the Usos came out. This is the main event. Usos came out and beat up Sol Sikoa. Other stuff to happen. LA Knight defeated Rey Mysterio. And then he was about to beat up Rey Mysterio after the match, but then his buddy, Santos Escobar, his LWO buddy, came and saved him from that. So I love LA Knight. Yeah! Women's Tag Team Champion Unification Man was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. The Women's Tag Team Champion versus the NXT Tag Team Champions, Alba Fry and Isla Dawn. Rousey and Baszler won that match. And then Raquel Rodriguez was sitting ringside, and she would start to walk away, and then Rousey and Baszler called her out. Then he's like, and then Raquel said, I want a tattoo. I was like, "Well, you don't have a partner." And then she's like, "Are you sure?" And then her partner, Liv Morgan, who's been out with an injury, hear her music hit, and she's back. So looks like that will be a tag match that comes up. So the Grayson Waller Effect talk show was again pretty deadly. Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. First of all, I don't know what the heck they're wearing. They have the weirdest ring attire maybe I've ever seen. They were on the Grissom Warmack, and they hyped up their match against KO and Sami Zayn for the tag titles. And they had a tag team match with the Street Profits, which they won. They kind of cheated. They used the ropes on the pin. They had Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans in a singles match. Charlotte Flair with the figure 8, but then Asuka attacked her after the match. They have a women's championship match coming up. And then, by the way, and then for that match, Bianca Belair will be banned from ringside. That's what Adam Pierce said. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.